It's time!
All right, Schmoedown fans, welcome to episode number 11 of the Schmoedown Rundown. My name is Aaron. I have a cold. I'm sorry. I will do my best to enunciate. And no, it's not Barry White on the mic this week. I have a cold. Also here, my co-host, my good friend, it is Paul Wolf. He is the king of ding. What's going on, man?
We are turning it up to 11 today, guys. How you doing?
Holy crap, man. A lot of big things going on in this episode. Not only did we talk to the Sneider, Jeff Sneider, who was very open, let's put it that way, in his interview, but we also got to talk with Perri Nemiroff. And guys, if you like Perri before, you're gonna love Perri after this interview. Let's just put it that way. She's awesome as always. Perri's great, and she was a great interview. Paul tracked down Perri and asked her to be on the show, and she was like, "Absolutely." So good work, Paul. So definitely check that out here in a little bit. As far as Schmoedown news this week, not a lot going on, but Christian did take to the Schmoeville Movie Trivia Schmoedown Facebook page and did a Q&A, which I think has like 400 comments before he stopped talking. So definitely check that out. He does drop some good information, a couple things that weren't in our interview with him. So definitely check that out if you need some updated info on all things Schmoedown. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about the team recap. It was a double debut. It was Team Double Jeopardy, Brad Rutter and Sam Levine going up against Team Tuff Beats, which was Perri Nemiroff and Jonathan Voitko. Paul, what did you think of this?
Utter, complete shock of how quickly disposed Tuff Beats got rid of Double Jeopardy. I mean, what?
You say you were in Rutter shock.
More like he was in a rut, if you want to.
No doubt about it.
Last episode we were doing the predictions, and I immediately when we found out that he was the highest the grossing money earner from Jeopardy, I immediately said, of course they're going to win because of his movie knowledge. And then when I watched his first sentence out of his mouth doing the promo at the beginning was, "Movies aren't exactly my best subject. I'm pretty good, but what I am good at is winning." Yeah, well, he's right on half of that. Wasn't good at winning though. I was immediately when I saw that at the promo, I immediately was like, "Oh crap! I bet you they don't win it all." And I didn't think it was ever going to be a knockout that quickly from them. I just completely floored me whatsoever. I mean, just amazing.
For sure. And, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Sam Levine comment, "F you in the neck" to John Roca. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's on my list. I was just still questioning that. And if you look in the Facebook, the YouTube comment section, there is somebody that actually tries his best to define how to do that. I don't have a doll that would be able to showcase that, so I can't figure it out myself. So, okay. Yeah, he must have experience. I don't know.
Hey, we're not here to do that. Is what it is.
It is.
So let's talk about it. Round one, Team Double Jeopardy, no points. Tuff Beats gets 3. So in round 2, it was Tuff Beats getting Spinner's Choice, where they took Sci-Fi Fantasy, 5 of 6, 8 points. And Double Jeopardy rolled, unfortunately, Opponent's Choice, which Tuff Beats, good lord, gave them Pixar movies, which, much to Sam Levine's chagrin, ended up being their downfall. Team Tuff Beats with 3 steals in that round, getting 3 extra points, and they KO Double Jeopardy. Team Tuff Beats 14-3. What the hell happened?
Well, spin of the wheel. That's what happened. I mean, you get Spinner's Choice, you can pick your category. You get Opponent's Choice, the opponents pick your category. And you'll hear later on with what Perri said with their strategy. And I apologize in the background, the phone is ringing. That's honestly what really happened. And I mean, obviously then, if you look back in round 1, I mean, they even went with Double Jeopardy, went with going second. they got to hear the categories right away, which I think is a great strategy. If you go second, you can actually hear the categories with the first team that goes, so you can prepare yourself. But they still ended up with a goose egg in that first round. And as Sam said, tearing this shit up, which he didn't really, not so much, no. So pretty much a quick match with 14-3 being the knockout from Tuff Beats.
I really appreciate, Sam Levine being an actor, and, he doesn't have to do these Schmoedowns. I get it, but I got a problem, man. I got a problem with what he said about, Pixar movies in general, and saying that, they're kids' movies, and I don't have kids, so why would I have seen a Pixar movie? Dude, Pixar movies are some of the most popular films on the planet. And we're not talking just kids. It's across all ages. Like, me and my wife have just gone to see a Pixar movie. We don't have kids. So, I mean, I can't really defend that point. That just seems like it's just mainstream movie knowledge that everybody should know. It's kind of like Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, it's going to be in there, so you should kind of be prepared for it. So I didn't like that part of it. But, Sam Levine's a strong competitor. I just didn't like that part of it. It's like, come on, man, don't complain about one of the most popular categories. If you want to complain about Westerns, fine. If you want to complain about movie release dates, sure. But Pixar, I don't know about that, man. I wasn't feeling that.
Yeah, I completely concur with that. In fact, I remember John Campea at one time said that Pixar movies aren't really kids' movies. They are more adult-friendly or kid-friendly films with adult elements. And so, I mean, to your point, I have a new tattoo that I got of a movie reel, and the second one down is Nemo. So I'm a huge fan of Pixar. It was going to be the Luxo Junior, but it was too small of a design. But I mean, there you go. I mean, I have a tattoo of a movie from Pixar. I mean, it's not just for kids. So that did bug me as well.
Pixar movies are just kind of like sci-fi movie or alien invasion movies. It's like, it's not really about what it's about. It's about something else, but I digress. So let's get away from there. We got A Star Is Born and Jonathan Voico and Perri Nemiroff. A good team, a lot of great teamwork in there. It was good to see. And we got a chance to interview Perri, so we're going to have that for you right now. All right, Schmoedown fans, we have another exclusive guest for this week. It is quite a fan favorite in the community. She does pretty much everything at Collider. She's on Nightmares. She's Best of the Week, Collider News. She guests on Jedi Council, Movie Talk. She's everywhere. It is Perri Nemiroff. Perri, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me, and thank you for that really nice intro, too. It still feels like I'm kind of new here, so to hear all of that kind of warms my heart.
Well, I'm glad I could do that for you. Paul, why don't you kick us off?
Well, another thing I wanted to add to that list of accomplishments is that you're also the content development editor for Collider and part-time rap goddess. So I just wanted to add that as well. So I wanted to give the folks out in Schmoeville who might not know you as well as to what that position is at Collider, that content development editor is on the website. What does that specifically entail?
That's a very good question. I think that is just a fancy title with a whole bunch of words thrown in it. Something that will likely be changing in the near future. That was kind of the title I was given when I was the only person on the Collider.com side that was doing video. So I think content development is basically just a different way to express video. So when I was working solely on Collider.com, I was pretty much the only one doing junket interviews and editing video.
Okay, that's good. I actually didn't know that myself. That was why I wanted to lead off with that. Now, I usually start off with different guests. I always like to kind of go back to the very beginning of like who was your gateway schmo for like your first encounter with them, because you've been there for a while. You saw when John Campea came aboard, and now you've got pretty much overrun with the schmoes. What was your first experience with the schmo? Who was the first person you met, and how you got introduced to them in general?
Oh my. Does John Campea count as a schmo?
I guess he was. Yeah, he kind of brought him in. So yeah, I would think that would count a little bit.
I think that probably would have been my first key encounter when. So I was working at Collider.com, and I was the only person doing video. So when we got smushed together with AMC Movie Talk, now Collider Movie Talk, it made sense to have me fly out from New York to LA to work with them for a little while. And while I was there, I never thought I would ever move to LA in my entire life. I never thought I would leave New York, never thought I would leave my family. And thanks to John Campea and Steve Weintraub, also known as Frosty on Collider.com, the two of them kind of, I don't know, put the bug in my head. So I guess John Campea was probably my first main encounter, and he's a big part of the reason I'm out here at all.
Yeah, he's a big part of all of this, really. I mean, you really have to go all the way back to him. So, I mean, even with my fandom, I started around the Man of Steel days when he did that at the AMC Movie Talks. That's kind of where I got caught on board, and it's now like a normal routine for me to watch them in the morning once everyone goes to school. I sit there for a little bit and watch the shows to catch up, and then I start my day. So, John, it's your fault. Okay, so moving on to the timeline, if you will, for you being eventually where you are today. We finally saw you, like we already mentioned, get on Movie Talk, Best of the Week, Nightmares, having a guest appearance, and a lot of meme generators once you were on the Schmoes show. But then a video was released with the ladies at Collider showing off your rap game. Now, can you shed some light on whose idea that was, your initial thoughts, and like, were you nervous to do this? And do you have like a history or a background in doing something like that?
I have no history or background in rap. I kind of despise karaoke. I really don't like singing ever. And whenever I go out to a karaoke bar with my friends, I'm kind of the weirdo in the corner, just standing and watching everybody else do it. So the idea of actually getting up and rapping was kind of mortifying, but I don't know. I just kind of like bit the bullet and did it and went, all out. But the idea actually came from, so the background music of the Collider news video, we had one commenter, a very special commenter out there. His name is Aussie N, and on every single Collider news video, I mean every single Collider news video, he would comment, "This beat is tough." And he's right. The beat was tough, and then we decided, wouldn't it be funny if we just made a rap out of it? And while we were at San Diego Comic-Con, one of our main Collider news editors, Frank, who is doing incredible work, you should all go look at the Crash Course videos. He's the guy who's editing those, so he deserves a lot of credit.
He does. That's good. Those are good. Yeah.
He's the one who started writing the Collider news rap, and he'd run ideas by me, and we'd kind of go back and forth until we had the lyrics, and then thankfully all the hosts and Mark Riley were game, and we kind of just shot it without knowing what would happen, and we were pretty damn happy. We had a lot of fun with it too, which was great. Yeah,
you got an immediate. If you didn't have fans then, you definitely got fans at that point. So as your popularity kind of grew a little bit, and getting your fans, and then as the Schmoedown kept rolling along, a lot of people were asking for a lot of female representation, and so we finally got 6 Degrees and Sasha. And when you were asked, were you initially did you say no immediately? Were you nervous, scared? Did they first ask you to do singles? Did you want you to do teams right away? What was your initial reaction when we were asked to do that?
There's very few things I would ever flat out say no to, but I was very apprehensive about doing a Schmoedown. I have a lot of movie knowledge, but it's intimidating when you go on all these shows and you're trying to be a pundit and come across like things to the point where people feel like they can trust you, and then run the risk of going on a Schmoedown and freezing and not knowing a really basic question. I don't want that to happen, and nobody does really. But I know my Jurassic Park, and I know my Billy Madison and Scream down to the line. I could probably recite all 3 movies, but there's a lot of classic movies out there that I've only seen once. And if I was asked a question about one of those, I probably wouldn't know the answer. I'm also a very competitive person. I like sports. I like my box office predictions. And I don't want to lose at trivia. So all of that was basically why I was completely freaked out by the idea of ever doing a Schmoedown. The team match, however, Jonathan, I work very closely with Jonathan on, Collider News, and he helps out with shooting the Crash Course videos, all that kind of stuff. And the two of us complement each other very, very well. He knows the things that I don't know, and I know the things that he doesn't know. So it seemed like the perfect pairing.
And that was going to be my follow-up question is, in that second round of the actual match, I've actually never seen a better collaborative effort but between a teammate, between you two, because you guys immediately, as soon as it happened, you guys immediately went in and talked to each other, and then Jonathan, answered the question. So I just wanted to ask if, was that just natural, or did you guys plan that, or how did that come about with you just that good of a collaborative effort, or was it just because you guys are just good compliments with each other?
That was kind of our strategy. I mean, it drives me nuts when I see people participate in team matches and someone just blurts out an answer and it's wrong, because that's the whole point of a team match. That's your edge right there. So whether or not one of us knew the answer to the point where we were absolutely sure, I never would have blurted an answer out. He never would have, unless I completely didn't know what it was. I mean, pretty much every single question, we turned to each other, we said the answer we thought it was, and then we said it. And we did pretty damn well in that second round. I still kind of can't believe it. We went into that match when Christian first told us who we were going up against. I mean, we were pretty sure we were going to lose. We just said to ourselves, you know what? The odds are stacked so high against us. Screw it. Let's have fun. We'll do our best. If we lose, we lost a great player, so it's okay. Never did we ever think we were going to knock them out in the second round. And still, when I say that, I kind of can't believe it happened.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the notes right here. You had 11 points in that round with 3 different steals. It was nuts. And I, be honest with you, I didn't have you guys winning because of Brad Rutter. Flat out because of that. And then he had said something in the match, actually the promo before, when he said movies aren't exactly my best subject. And immediately when he said that, I'm like, you guys immediately got it just when he said that. Okay, so I want to point this out as well in the match. So the defining moment, and real rejects, pay attention. The moment occurred when opponent's choice came up. Now, before Pixar was chosen, and I've got a beef a lot. I've got a beef with a lot of people that don't know animated. I kind of just want to strangle them. But whatever, that might not be their thing. They might not have kids. That might not be their favorite types of movies. But were there any other categories you guys were thinking about before picking Pixar, or was that like the first thing you saw?
It was either Pixar or horror, because I know me some horror, but the mentality is, again, we're a team. I'm not just going to tell him to pick a category because I think I'll know all the answers. We're in a much better situation if we can pick something where I'm confident and he thinks he can get some as well. And that's kind of what the strategy was. I said, these two I got. I feel confident with these. You pick which of those two you know the best. And between the two of us, we actually did know everything. I mean, there wasn't in round 2, there wasn't much guessing going on, which when I am a spectator and I'm watching by myself, I feel like there is a lot of guessing. I think we really did luck out with that wheel and actually knew all the questions within those categories. I
mean, spinner's choice and opponent's choice. I mean, that's amazing how that came about. I was floored. So, okay. Wrapping up then, the match happened, second round knockout. You had already kind of mentioned that you didn't even think you had a chance when you heard who you were facing. When that happened, when Christian finally, and your winner, just tell me, run through what you were feeling at that time.
You guys saw my face like 2 seconds after that match went up. Someone screen grabbed our reactions and our faces. Like that was what we were feeling inside. I've said this hundreds of times since that match was first announced, and since it actually happened. I'm like, I didn't think we had a chance, and then I can't believe that happened. Yeah. Over and over. And I still cannot believe it. I can't believe it. But at the same time, I'm working on building a little bit of confidence for the next one.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of the next one, good segue there. You didn't say it in the post-match, but who do you want to face next, and what's next for you in 2017? Maybe singles, maybe not. What do we have?
Singles is probably a long way off. I definitely, clearly, even though we just knocked them out in the second round, clearly I'm not very confident in my abilities in the next round. Maybe a little more confident than before, but the idea of doing a singles match is absolutely horrifying to me at the moment. However, if Christian ever does pull the trigger on a Jurassic Park specialty match, I will jump in a heartbeat. I'll face anyone. I don't care who it is. I can crush them in Jurassic Park. With the team match, who would we want to face? There's a lot of people I would want to face just because I would like to say I beat them.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind taking down Roka and Nost, only because Roka's persona, it's just
Right.
when he acts like that, you can't help but to want to beat him. But at the same time, I almost wouldn't want to play them just because I like the fact that we have a perfect record at the moment. I don't want to ruin that. I wouldn't mind playing the Wangers too, just because they're a lot of fun. I always have a lot of fun watching their matches, so I think they'd be good competition for us also.
Easy to beat, cannon fodder. Say what you will. Aaron, do you have anything?
I do. You keep talking about the Jurassic Park Schmoedown, and oddly enough, since the Wangers were mentioned, I think your formidable opponent in that would be Cobster. Because Cobster
you pretty much nailed it there.
He proclaims himself to be a connoisseur of Jurassic Park, and you're a connoisseur of Jurassic Park, so it only makes sense that you would have a Jurassic Park collision. That would be my guess.
Now, would that just be Jurassic Park or the whole, like, 1, 2, 3 and Jurassic World?
All the movies must count.
Okay.
I think for the sake of it being the movie trivia Schmoedown, we must draw the line at the books, but I don't know. I can recite Jurassic Park probably from the first line to the last line of that movie. I can't do the same for Lost World 3 and Jurassic World, but I have seen all three of those movies more times than I'm willing to admit. So I think I could take him down.
So if it's not Jurassic Park canon, we're not into it. Is that basically fair to say?
Yeah. We got to draw the line there.
Okay. Before you got into the Schmoedown to compete, who was someone, like a competitor you saw that like really entertained you, or somebody you're like, oh, they're competing? All right, I'm going to stick around and watch this.
Quite a few people. It's fun seeing everybody kind of go big, because for the most part, we have a lot of big personalities across the board at Collider Video, but there's something about Schmoedown competition and trivia that just brings out personalities in people that I never knew they had. Like when I first came in here, they were only just starting up the Collider version of the Schmoedown. So I had met everybody on all of these shows, and then all of a sudden they shoot the first Schmoedown, and wow, just with the entrances and their different personas. I mean, Roka definitely made the biggest impression just because he's the biggest heel of them all. I am entertained by Scott Mance to no end. I can pretty much watch him do any show and just get the biggest kick out of him. And he's so knowledgeable too. He's so funny and crazy, but he knows his stuff. And that is just that's a level of entertainment I can really respect. But, I got to give it up to Christian and Mark. They're the main men over there, and they know their stuff and they play it well. And it really does amaze me, just the production value of this show and the hosting and all the time, energy, and effort that goes into it. Even though I'm part of the team, I mean, just huge kudos to them for making this happen so often every single week. Because if you add up all the questions that get asked, if you look at all the camera angles, all of that stuff, I mean, just the production team, the people coming up with the questions, Christian and Mark for hosting, it's a pretty incredible operation.
Absolutely. And just a quick follow-up about Christian, like how closely did you work with him? Did he like have any notes before your match? He's like, hey, try to say this. Hey, you should maybe try this. Maybe throw a rap on there. Like, how does he before you guys get out there?
I was definitely pushing the rap myself, but
okay, all right.
Me and Jonathan have that editor / rap writer Frank backing us up. So the three of us brainstorm and come up with some pretty crazy ideas pretty often. So the opportunity to do more raps is very enticing for all three of us. But Christian's just been very encouraging for me to jump in and kind of, you know, bite the bullet and take my chances in the Schmoedown from day one. So he didn't specifically say, you know, do this in your opening shit talk or, you know, use this strategy in the actual match. It was pretty much just, you know, do it, have fun, and be confident, which I think is pretty much the only advice anyone should ever give to someone who's doing it for the first time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. 100%. I don't know if you know this, so I'm going to bring this to your attention, but if you had taken a poll, and maybe they did, of Schmoeville and the Facebook group and online about the Schmoedown, if there was one person that hadn't competed yet that people wanted to see, if you could take a vote, it was you. So what do you say to that for all the people want to see you compete, and now that you have, people are over the moon. They're like, we knew it. We knew she would be good with Jonathan. A star is born, if you will. What do you say to that?
Whether it's the Schmoedown or anything, whether it's even just like tweeting at me on Twitter, it will never cease to amaze me that people out there respect my opinion and want to see me do this kind of stuff on camera. I will never let a day go by that I am not endlessly grateful for the opportunity that kind of landed in my lap. I had a lot of friends who moved out to LA looking for work. I was lucky enough to have done that move, which was really scary for me, and to have walked into an office filled with, truly, I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you guys right now, truly great, kind, smart people who are excellent colleagues and also my friends. So I love them. I love being on every single show, and just every single day I think about how lucky and how grateful I am to be part of this team.
That was like the nicest thing I've ever heard. I think that's the nicest thing anyone said.
Mean it.
Schmoedown. Definitely wouldn't get that from Roca. But as we kind of wind it down here, is there anything that you want to say to people out there in the Schmoeville Facebook group or in Schmo fans in general, fans of the Schmoedown? Anything you want to say to them?
Oh my, that's a big question. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is just thank you. Thank you to everybody who has kind of been kind and embraced everything that we've done and embraced me personally, because it does mean a lot. I've said this on shows before. I am one of those people that goes through every single comment on every video I am in, whether I reply or not. I do read and I do pay attention, and thank you to all the people who are respectful about that, because it's scary putting yourself out there like that, and especially competing in the Schmoedown, perhaps even more so than giving your opinion on one of these shows. It's scary, and it doesn't feel good, you know, when you lose or when you hear something nasty. So for all the people who take the time, whether it's, you know, agreeing with us or not, to express your opinion in an appropriate way, thank you. That's awesome. But the Schmoeville community really is just incredible to me. That Facebook group, I'm so glad that I'm part of it and I get those alerts, because I really do pay attention to a lot of what you guys talk about in there. And it's a pretty fun community to be a part of, especially, I mean, just the other week, it was my birthday and someone posted it in the group, and the amount of just likes and birthday wishes, it sounds silly because, you know, it's just a Facebook happy birthday, but no, that means a lot. So thank you guys. And yeah, thank you guys for having me here. I'm really excited about all of this. I'm really nervous, but I'm also really excited.
There you have it. She reads the comments, so basically, don't be a dick. So, all right. Well, I know you guys got something going on over at Collider Nightmares. You got something going on the Fox lot. Did you want to tell people about that? This is where they...
Oh, that we do. Collider Nightmares is lucky enough to be able to screen the penultimate episode of The Exorcist on the Fox lot this coming Friday. I'm going to have the wrong number date here. I believe it's Friday the 9th, and we're going to have folks behind the show. Clark just announced that Gina Davis is going to be there, which is crazy to me. Not just because I like her on The Exorcist, but one of my favorite all-time movies is A League of Their Own. So, God, I hope I can hold it together. But, you know, we do want to bring fans and viewers out to that screening if they're in the LA area. So, I'm not entirely sure how that's happening. I'm sure Clark explained it in that message maybe that aired before Movie Talk on Thursday, I believe, or the details will come in Nightmares, but keep an eye out for that. It's something we're really excited about, and, if it goes well, and we hope it goes well, it's something that we'd like to do more of.
Before we go, for people that don't know, where can you be found online or anything else you have going on?
You guys can catch me on Twitter and Instagram for the most part. It's P. Nemiroff, Collider Nightmares, of course. There's Friday Movie Talks, Mailbags on Saturday, Best of the Week on Saturday. I love all of, the memes and all the comments I get on that, too. That's a really fun show to produce and host, so I love that to death. There's Walking Dead every Sunday night. There's After Ash. Anyone out there who's not watching Ash vs. Evil Dead right now, you're absolutely crazy. You need to watch it whether you like the Evil Dead movies or not. And I think that's about it for now, at least.
There you have it. She is a woman of many talents, many, many talents, so many that I couldn't even write them all down to tell you. It is Perri Nemiroff. Perri, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me. This was a pleasure.
All right, guys, how was that interview? It was amazing. Perri, just the most amazing person, super nice. She's great, and she's an A+ in our book, and she's welcome back anytime. Let's jump into the singles recap. It was Finstock, the new look Finstock, versus Sam Levine. So it was a double dip of Sam Levine this week. It was the number 9 Finstock, number 8 Levine. And, well, I mean, it was a little bit closer than we thought. Is that fair to say, Paul?
Yeah, with Levine kind of coming in with not really guns blazing from his team match, and then you've got Finstock coming in with the heat from his breaking up of the Mega Powers. It didn't on paper look like it was going to be that great, but it was closer than you thought. And the 2-2 records they both have, it showed. It showed that they were pretty evenly matched until a certain point in the match itself.
Yeah, it just seemed like Sam Levine just kind of was. It was like in college football when you have like Ohio State versus like, I don't know, Boise State or something, and they play even for a while, but then Ohio State just kind of pushes away in the second half. It kind of felt like that. But let's jump into it.
Good example.
Yeah, thank you. Round one. I'm not going to say it because I'm not an Ohio State fan, but let's move on. Marshall Thundering for life. For life. Okay.
I got respect there. Respect there. Not at all. I got respect there. I'm in Ohio. I'm Ohio State, so.
I can appreciate that. As long as you're an Ohio Bobcats fan, but I digress. All right. In round one, it was Finstock going 3 of 6 for 3 points. Sam Levine 5 of 6 for 5 points. Round two, Finstock gets Action Adventure. Gets 2 of 4 for only 2 points. Sam Levine rolls Crime, gets them all for 6 points. Sam Levine did have 2 steals for an extra 2 points. It came down to round 3, where Finstock got the 3-point question, but could not get the 5 to tie. And it was Sam Levine TKOing Finstock 13-8. Sam Levine goes to 3-2. Finstock drops to 2-3 and probably out of the rankings entirely.
Yay!
Oh no, Paul, what did you think of the ending there? Did you closer? A lot closer than what I think we thought.
Yeah. However, I was shocked to see Sam stick with Crime in the second round. I guess it worked for him because he got 2 of them. He got 2 points right off the bat, and the other 2 he had multiple choice, and he got those 2. So it obviously was a strength for him, and obviously with Finstock second round. My personal preference, I would have stuck with Tim Burton. I personally would have done really well with that. So I heard that. I went, oh, I was kind of bummed, but he went with Action Adventure because, that was his thing, but he only got 2 points out of that and did multiple choice for all 4 of them. So, he wasn't that confident. But then, he got to that third round. And I'm not sure how many matches this has happened to, but Sam didn't have to answer a single question in that third round. He didn't have to. It's like taking a knee at the end of a game or, not having to, bat in the end of the 9th inning. It was just he just sat back and watched Finstock just kind of drop the ball, I guess. And 13-8, Sam took it. So, it's actually kind of nice that Sam kind of ended on that good note because of what happened with the team match. So hopefully, I don't know if vindication would be the word for it, but at least hopefully he walked away this week satisfied with how he did, at least in the team competition or in the singles competition.
Yeah, and let's not discount Finstock. I mean, on paper, this is a blowout. And Finstock held it pretty tight. I was actually really impressed with his performance. I thought there for a second that Sam Levine was going to slip up and Finstock was going to take it, but that ended up not being the case. That's why Sam Levine's heading towards the title, and it looks like maybe Finstock is heading towards retirement. Now let's talk about the post-match interview where Sam Levine was speaking with Emma Fyffe, and surprised to no one, as everybody seems to be doing these days in the Schmoedown, he challenged John Roca to a match. So that could be interesting. It seems like everybody wants a piece of the Outlaw these days to either shut him up or prove that they can beat him. So you might have to have John Roca back on the show so he can defend himself and cut a promo on everybody. I'm all about that. So I have to check with the Outlaw. But also, Emma was interviewing Finstock, and she asked him about his future plans. Would he be forming another team? Would he be, who do you want to challenge next? And Finstock was pretty vague. He said, more or less, unless Sinead or Ashley or Natasha wanted to be in a Schmoedown with him, and some kind of weird threesome joke that was odd and weird, that he was going to take a break, and that perhaps Finstock was going to start managing talent. Now, Paul, can you imagine, if you will, you're a competitor in the Schmoedown, and your manager is Finstock. What do you think about that?
If I was competing and he was my manager?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't agree to that to begin with.
Okay.
So I'll say that as if I was to see, like if I was waiting for my opponent to come out and see that my opponent was managed by Finstock, I would probably kind of laugh because of seeing the history of how Finstock is. I mean, a manager manages a person, like not only helps them train, but helps them, get different like interviews and merchandise and guest spots and different things and movie roles and stuff like that. That's the kind of a thing that a manager does. Can Finstock do that? I mean, I don't know. I, at this point, highly doubt it. But I mean, I personally like going back to your original question. I wouldn't have Finstock as my manager myself, so I couldn't imagine that at all.
Fair enough. I have a feeling that Bob Finstock is up to something. Like, he keeps saying, like, keep watching, keep waiting. Is this what we've been waiting on from Finstock? Is this some sort of master plan where he hooks up with someone like Dan Murrell or whoever wins the Inner Geekdom Championship? Or does he manage Team Patriots because he and JTE are tight? I don't know, man. It's interesting. Bob Finstock continues, not Bob Finstock, just Finstock, continues to be an enigma in this league that I don't think any of us have figured out. So,
well, he is well on his way to becoming Snidely Whiplash, especially with that pea coat that he had. So.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome. But all right, let's move on. Let's go to, it's now singles preview time. There is no team match this week. There are 2 singles matches, so don't cry about there not being a team match. The first one up will be Mike Kalinowski, hope I said that right, versus Ashley V. Robinson. We got 2 debuts here. We have Mike, who co-hosts the DC Movie News podcast. He's also an actor, and of course, Ashley V. Robinson, frequent panelist on Heroes on Collider, very knowledgeable in comics and the geek realm, as I'm assuming Mike is. I haven't seen him in competition, so I wouldn't really know. We have Ashley prepping for the Inner Geekdom Championship. Paul, how do you see it going?
With these predictions lately, I don't know anymore. I really don't. You think one way. It is tough. It's 12 of one, 12 of one, dozen in the other. I personally, my pick is Ashley, just because I know that she's been around the Collider Studios and she's been around the people that are involved in it. So she's probably got more knowledge of how it works and the behind the scenes and how things are set up. But we are seeing more often than not, it's that spin of that second round wheel that gets you every time, if it's singles or if it's team. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not too familiar with Mike as well, but I am familiar with Ashley, so I'm going to side with Ashley on this one. And in this, to give a prediction, I'm just going to throw out that she'll win, but it'll probably come down to the last question in the third round.
Okay, fair enough.
I think I'll say that.
I'm going to stick with Ashley B. Robinson as well, and I'll tell you why. I think that if Christian has enough confidence in her to put her in a championship match in the Schmoedown Spectacular, she's got to be strong. I'm not saying that means she's going to win by default. I'm just saying that means that she's got to be a strong competitor. And now I know that Schmoedown is specialized to just the geek stuff, but you kind of think that if you want to bring her in, she's got to have a lot more knowledge. So that's my thought process there. I'm like you. With these predictions, it's kind of tough. I'll just take Ashley B. Robinson. I think she wins. Let's say she wins by 1 point. It's tough. It's a crapshoot at this point. But the second singles preview for this week. These two, we know very well. It is the Sneider, Jeff Sneider, the number 6 rated competitor, going one-on-one with Chris Stuckman. Now, if you have a YouTube account and you like movies, you probably know who Chris Stuckman is. He's a very popular YouTube reviewer. Seems like a genuinely nice guy. He's an Ohio boy, heyo. And, I'm excited to see what he does in the Schmoedown. And Jeff Sneider, I mean, come on. Jeff Sneider is one of the guys that's going to be contending for a singles title. He's already contending for the tag team titles as part of Team Patriots with JTE. Paul, how do you see it going here?
This one, I know, is going to come down to the last question. I think they're pretty evenly matched. I really do. Sneider has a little bit more experience in both team and in individual competition, but Stuckman brings it. And, I mean, he knows his stuff, and he's an Akron man. And I'm, like I said, 5 minutes north of Akron, so I'm in that area. So I know where he's from. I know where he came from. I know where he is. I mean, not currently, but I know he's with Collider. But you know what I mean. But, see, I definitely see Jeff and Stuckman just go into the last. It's going to be punch for punch, round for round, and it's honestly, I feel like a broken record, just like that spinning wheel. It's gonna decide it. I think that's where it's going to be won or lost, and I feel depending on that spin, I mean, it could come down, like I said, to that last question. And someone's going to have to hit that five-pointer to really overtake one or the other.
Well, before we get to the actual predictions where we pick a winner, I want to, we said it early in the show, we got a chance to speak with Jeff Sneider. What a cool guy. What an interesting guy. And once again, like with Perri, if you liked Perri before, you're going to love her. If you kind of weren't sure about Jeff Sneider, if you could like this guy, probably not going to change your mind. Because the Sneider is the Sneider, and it was awesome to just hear him. He's straight up. He's not going to BS you. Jeff Sneider will tell you exactly how it is. So let's hear what Jeff Sneider had to say. We're going to listen to that right now. All right, Schmoedown fans, we've got another amazing guest this week. He is one half of the number 1 contending tag team right now for the Movie Trivia Schmoedown Tag Team Championships with his partner JTE of Team Patriots. He's also the number 6 ranked singles competitor. He is the Sneider, Jeff Sneider. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me, fellas.
No problem, anytime.
All right. Well, hey, most Schmoevillians remember you from when you came on to Movie Talk, and not such a warm welcome. You immediately became heel as soon as that happened. Everyone took you and rubbed you the wrong way, and it was just out of the blue. Just immediately, everyone hated you. But honestly, you got on that show. But so my first question, so a lot of people might not know this, and maybe people out here listening to the podcast might not know this too. Let's take you back all the way to that very show. And what was I call this the gateway schmo, getting you introduced to Movie Talk and the Schmoes Know, eventually leading it up to the Schmoedown?
All right, here we go. So I don't know if I was at Variety or at the Wrap, but either way, I was at one of those two places, and my boy Justin Kroll and I, who's over at Variety, we noticed that Schmoes Know kept picking off these scoops that we had been holding for the Hollywood establishment. and they were sort of infringing on our turf, if you will, so to speak. Not that, turf is proprietary in Hollywood. And so, I remember, we started out basically getting into a war of words on Twitter or social media, whatever. And I think one of our mutual friends, it might have been Naveed, it might have been somebody else, though, sort of said, hey, you should really get together with this guy, Christian Harloff, because I think you guys would actually have a lot in common. So we sat down. It was some burger joint on the west side. I totally forget what the name of it was. But we sat down. We broke bread, talked like a couple of men, and we realized, we actually did have a lot in common. We both sort of attacked movie news from this sort of underdog perspective. And anyways, I kept in touch with Christian. He gave me my podcast. This is when the Schmoes were over at still doing the show through AfterBuzz. So he gave me my podcast, Meet the Movie Press, which I did with Mark Riley for 8 or 9 months, and then Simon Thompson came in when Mark shifted over to Collider Video. And I've stayed in touch with all those guys. I've been to a couple parties with them. It's just they remind me of my buddies back home. Just a good group of guys talking about movies. They love movies. When I'm with them, I feel like I'm listening to a Bill Simmons podcast or Howard Stern with this cast of characters, and at the center of it is Christian and Mark. So anyways, they had me on AMC Movie Talk, which I was really excited to do. Unfortunately, it just so happened to be the day after they released the Assassin's Creed trailer, which was awful. Yeah. I'm not going to go back on that. It looked awful then. It looks awful now. It's the only winter or December release that I'm not hounding a studio to see. I am who I am. I make no apologies for coming off a little crusty on about Assassin's Creed on AMC Movie Talk. I'm not a fanboy. I'm not there to tell you guys what you want to hear. I give it to you straight. I give you my opinion, and if you don't like it, who cares?
Hey, that's all that we ask for. And, within the movie business, it's a subjective type of business. So, people that don't like your opinion, you can easily stop listening.
Yeah, mute me, block me,
Absolutely.
whatever you want.
Absolutely. So we progress in the timeline here, and the decision came about on the Schmoes Know Show, and ultimately they pair you with JTE, who was obviously looking for a new partner. And, of course, at the time with JTE, he kind of was the main bad guy, the main heel at the time with his split from Box Office Breakdown. And so you then became the Team Patriots and were the top heel team. Now, with what has just occurred in the Schmoes universe, if you will, with Finstock now clearly being the league's top heel, number one, do you like that term for your team? And two, do you feel that that's even a relevant term for your team now that Finstock's the way it is?
Nonsense. I think heels... Sure. We are the heroes of our own story. I don't know what makes me a heel or a villain in this league other than I'm super arrogant and cocky and confident about our abilities. Listen, JT was down and out when we first teamed up, but I saw something in that kid. I knew that he knew his stuff, and furthermore, I knew that he would compliment me because he knew the comic book movies and the sorts of categories that are not my strong suit. Guys, I know you haven't seen the Schmoedown Spectacular, but when you see the Inner Geekdom Championship, I must have gotten 2 questions right the whole time. I don't know any of that stuff. And he does, so I think we make a pretty good team, and I don't care if you want to call us heels or whatever. We're just going to go out there and do what we do best, which is answer movie trivia questions.
Fair enough. And you know what? I had another question here, but I'm going to move that question up to this.
Okay.
Because of JTE's fall from grace, if you will, they had a 30 for 30 mockumentary on him. You are now considered, in some people's minds in Schmoeville, kind of JTE's saving grace with this team. He's winning now. You guys are with a number 1 contenders match. What do you say to that?
Listen, everything is cyclical, It's that way in football, basketball, any sport. These teams are at the bottom of the league eventually through the draft, whatever. They rebuild. And they compete for championships. Look at the Oakland Raiders right now. They were the laughingstock of the NFL. So, do I feel like I'm the saving grace? I don't know. I think that JT hit a bad. Just had some bad luck that he ran into. I I think it was a brilliant 30 for 30. They did a great job with that. I would have liked to have been in it more to defend my boy JTE, but yeah, I don't think I'm his savior any more than he's mine. You know,
Okay.
we both offered each other something, redemption.
I definitely I believe that wholeheartedly, and I just I mean, the only team that I can think of that doesn't do what you said is the Patriots. They get new guys, but yet again they compete every year, and that's a perfect team name for you guys. And the shirt is awesome, and I mean everything you're doing is completely just up and up, and I really like the styles. You guys definitely complement each other. So let me actually go into a team match itself. When you guys are set for a team matchup, are there any pregame strategies you guys talk about, or do you guys normally just go with it and whatever you're dealt with?
I mean, I don't know if I should reveal some of my strategies here, but you get the categories you get. We don't know what the categories are going to be. I love when people suggest that the league is rigged. It's certainly not. I certainly brush up on westerns typically, just in case I get that.
There it is again.
Yeah, I brush up on westerns. Again. I brush up on animation. I go through the Oscar winners and nominees, and then I look at Box Office Mojo for the box office questions. So that's really the only 4 categories. Like, I know that I'm weak in Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and Star Trek and Harry Potter and that kind of stuff, but if you think I'm going to watch any of those movies again, you're crazy. I'd rather lose the match than have to suffer through some of that crap. So
yeah, that was actually a question I had too, is the fact that sometimes, like, we had one week where it was the Sneider all week. You had a singles and you had a team match.
That's right.
So, and then you have some times where you're weeks without seeing you. So that was something like, what are your what are your go-to ways to keep brushing up on things? And so that definitely answered my question. And I've been looking for some areas too to try to brush up on mine, like even apps like on my phone to see what kind of good trivia apps there are. So I don't know if you have any good ones out there that people might be able to download onto their phones, but I know that I've been looking myself.
I don't. I've done, the occasional quiz if I need a little, refresher. I mean, I'm over at Mashable, and we play a fair amount of different game shows, things like that over here. You don't want to psych yourself out. You don't want to, cram so much or whatever that you can't even recall the answer when you're in the hot seat under the hot lights. So, yeah, you kind of play it as it lies.
Nice. All right. Well, hey, Schmoeville fans out there, we are talking to the Sneider, Jeff Sneider, one half of the #1 contenders for the tag team division. And so, Aaron, it is now your turn. You're free to go.
Fantastic. Now, Jeff, you have 1 TKO and 2 KOs, 1 single, 1 team, and now you are the #6 ranked singles contender. Do you feel that ranking is too low, or do you not put too much stock in rankings anyway?
I feel like the ranking is probably fair. I mean, do I think that I'm better than some of the people ranked above me? Yes. But I've never, I know that I haven't really had a tough singles matchup. I mean, Sam Levine was actually really tough, but I lost. And I lost on the last question by 1 name, which haunts me to this day. Otherwise, I would be undefeated in both areas of this league. Anyways, I got a big match coming up Friday with Chris Stuckman. I think that he is the kind of competitor that could... if I beat him, shoot me up the ranks, and maybe the 3 or 4 spot. I would love to challenge for the title, but I realize I haven't faced Christian, I haven't faced Riley, Ellis, Clark Wolf. I haven't gotten a shot at any of these marquee contenders, and frankly, I think that they're a little afraid to go against me.
You think they're a little bit afraid of the Sneider and what you bring to the table?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, wait, is Makuga ranked above me? He's like 4 or 5. Yeah, I mean, guys, that's an embarrassment. Makuga, I would wipe. I don't even know if we'd get out of the first round. Okay, I think I would own him. So he should not be ranked above me. But I guess his record is 5-4. I mean, it's also about matches. I've only had a handful of matches. I think if I got the same number of opportunities as everybody else, you'd see me with that belt already.
Something I don't think people realize in Schmoeville is that not only
Yeah, you know, you've got the swagger, you've got the bit of arrogance, but you're a guy. You actually back it up. You're an athlete as well. I was doing my research.
Oh, Jesus!
And I found it. Yes, sir. And I found out that you were the captain of your high school volleyball team. That you were starting fullback on your soccer team.
I don't know where you found this stuff. I'm sure it is out there, but yes, I played sports. I guess through high school, because now I'm a fat crap. But yeah, I played volleyball. I was all state, and I played soccer. Although I wasn't very good, they actually voted me most likely to be a volleyball captain. And I played basketball, which I still occasionally play. Although it seems like there's screenings every Tuesday nights when I play. So yeah, I was born competitive. I'm very competitive at work, just with scoops and stuff like that. Although it's not necessarily the focus of my job anymore. And yeah, it drives me. When I go up to Burbank, like that's a long ride for me from the west side. When I go up to Burbank, I go to win.
Yeah. Why else would you go? You don't want to waste your time.
Exactly. So I'm not there for camera time, for the publicity. No, I want to win. And it's funny. I went back for Thanksgiving, back to Boston last week, and I showed my friends the Schmoedown, and they were flipping out. They were making fun of me for hours. They watched almost every match. It was a good time. I think I got more people into it.
Were they making fun of you for the Patriots shirt or something else?
I think they're making fun of the general demeanor and when I come. I mean, they think it's goofy when you come out. We get the big entrance music, and JT and I have done some silly routines. And obviously the no sleeves didn't help. Wasn't a good look. I think I'll be returning to sleeves for my match against Chris Stuckman.
Okay. Well, speaking of Mr. Stuckman, in the post-match interview after the Jason Inman match, you said to Josh Bakuga that you would, quote, put Chris Stuckman in his place. What did you mean by that?
I don't really know. Things just come out during those post-game interviews. I know Chris Stuckman. I met him. He's been on Meet the Movie Press and boosted our numbers that episode. Listen, he clearly knows his stuff. He's written books, I believe. He was referred to as an author. I'm not doubting the man is a worthy competitor, but at the same time, people are excited about the match because he's like a YouTube celebrity, not necessarily that he has proven himself to be a beautiful mind, if you will, in this league. And so, I think I'm going to be sitting in the favorites chair on Friday. I don't know if I'll be the underdog or the favorite, but I can't see why I would be the underdog. And I'm looking forward to giving Stuckman a taste of his own medicine, if you will.
Maybe he's saying he wants to put him back into his place, like where he lives in Akron, by my neck of the woods. I could be.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to hold it against him that he's not an LA guy. I'm sure he could come out of Ohio and challenge for the championship. But it's going to be a good match. I know that much.
Let's be honest. Let's just cut it here. You want to beat Chris Stuckman. You want to beat Chris Stuckman in front of his 1 million followers or whatever he has. Let's be honest. Yeah, I absolutely think that not only do you want to beat Chris Stuckman, but you want to see 1 million people watch Chris Stuckman lose. Is that fair to say?
It's that, and I got to prove myself. Forget what happens with the Schmoedown Spectacular, whatever. You win some, you lose some. But I got to make a name for myself in this league, away from JT, away from the Patriots, and I'm going to set out to do just that on Friday.
Okay, well, let's just throw a scenario out there.
Okay.
Let's say we're in the Schmoedown Spectacular. Let's say things don't go the Patriots' way.
Okay.
Are you going to focus more on singles, or will you still continue to be with JTE?
First of all, JT and E and I aren't going anywhere, whether there's a setback at the Spectacular or not. We are in it to win it. We are partners, and we're not going to, look for a trade at the first sign of adversity. We're not Kevin Durant.
Oh.
So,
okay.
You will see the Patriots in 2017, me and JTE, regardless of what happens on December 23rd. As far as what I'm focusing on, I don't really get to choose what I'm focusing on. When I get the call from Commissioner Harloff, I take whatever match he's set up. Singles, doubles. I'll take on 3 people. It doesn't matter.
Well, you heard it here. Jeff Sneider not quitting on JTE, unlike, Mr. Finstock from last week that quit on his partner out of nowhere.
Boston's loyal. We got loyalty in our blood.
There you have it. Well, as we wind this down, Mr. Sneider, is there anything else that you want to say to Schmovilles or anything you want the Schmoedown fans to know about yourself?
First of all, you guys got to get over that AMC movie talk because you're all going to be thanking me once you see Assassin's Creed and know that it's absolute garbage. It'll ruin your Christmas. Number 2. I am the rookie of the year, okay? Forget Bibiani, who got one match. Clark Wolf, Roca. Give me a break with Roca. Everyone worships this guy like he's a celebrity. I'm going to show Schmoville and the fans of the Schmoedown why I am a force to be reckoned with in this league. People should be wearing my T-shirts. People should be coming up to me at LA Comic-Con. Forget Roca and that stupid cowboy hat and the swagger, okay? Because when it's just mano-y-mano, us in the ring, we'll see who emerges.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You can catch him next Friday taking on Chris Stuckman, and you can catch him with his partner JTE in the Schmoedown Spectacular, taking on the champions Team Top 10. He is the insider, Jeff Sneider. Sir, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. You guys do a great job recapping all of these, and a lot of fun interviews. So keep up the good work, and happy holidays.
You as well. Sir. Absolutely.
Later, guys.
All right, guys, I told you, the Snyder is exactly who you think he is. He's not BSing anybody. He had some sort of kind words for Chris Stuckman, but I seriously think deep down that Jeff Sneider wants to beat Chris Stuckman in front of his million followers. Now let's get to it, Paul. Chris Stuckman, Jeff Sneider, who you got?
I know we just interviewed him. He's a great dude, got newfound respect for him, but I am going to go with Chris Stuckman.
Oh, wow. The Stuckman.
I'm going to go with Stuckman.
Wow. Unbelievable. Can't believe this guy. Now, I'm not going to say this just because Jeff Sneider is a friend of the show and, complimented us and told us we do nice work, which is really nice to hear. But I think that Jeff Sneider is one of the strongest competitors in this league. I think he is a future not only tag team champion, I think he's the future world champion. I'm taking Jeff Sneider. I'm not saying it's going to be a TKO or a KO. I think it'll be a close match. But I think Jeff Sneider absolutely beats Chris Stuckman. And it's just going to be tough for Chris because I know he has to make the trip to LA and it's a long trip. But, that's how it goes sometimes. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Schmoedown Rundown, number 11 in the bag. Appreciate everybody for listening. Real quick thing. Last week, the Finstock episode was our highest rated episode. Huge episode. A lot of views on YouTube, over 5,000. That's incredible. A ton of iTunes downloads. That means a lot to us. It means a lot to myself. It means a lot to Paul. So we do work very hard on this show. And I even reached out to Finstock to tell him about it, and he just kind of said he wasn't surprised. So, Finstock just being Finstock. But I really thank everybody for listening. And don't forget to subscribe to the SK Podcast channel if you haven't already on YouTube and iTunes. You can get our show, Schmoedown Rundown. You can get the Schmoville After Show, the Wanger Show, JT Movie Thinks, behind-the-scenes stuff from the live show. Give it a like. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to it. Leave us a comment. Helps out everybody. We love that kind of stuff. My name is Aaron. I made it through this cold, and hopefully I'll be 100% next week. You can always find me on Twitter at ATTitanium. Paul, where can you be found, sir?
Well, if I'm not strolling the streets of Schmoeville on the Facebook page, you can see me every day pretty much on Twitter at the Mr. Wolf. That's TheMrWulff. And also you can find me on Instagram at the Mr. Wolf 12.
There you have it. Appreciate everybody for listening once again. It is the Schmoedown Rundown. We will catch you next week. See ya.
Peace.